3, 2, 1. And then, yep, go.
All right, welcome to the SNG Weekly Wrap-Up presented by the SNG Network, sngnetwork.com. Go there for all of your gambling reviews. Find out where the best places are to gamble online. Also get some sports updates, sports articles, all that stuff. We are here today. We're doing a very important draft, which I'll let our guest explain here in a second. But we've got Dan, we've got Joe, and we've got, for the second time on the show, the first time live, AJ. AJ, what's up? Thanks for coming on.
How's it going?
It's good. It's good. Did you think you'd ever be back on a show with us?
Well, I'm on a show with you every week, but
True.
to talk about sports, no, I thought I got the lifetime ban for my antics the last time, but I'm glad you guys are open-minded. I'm glad you're giving me another chance.
Yeah, we're very excited about this. Should be a good one. Before we jump into it, Joe, why don't you give us a little update? You said last week you were going to be starting your job with the NBA. I believe you've started. So how's it going?
It's great, man. I getting some good preseason action in. I just want to say, AJ, I was instrumental in getting you back on here. I mean, this was something I wanted to do last week. Was kind of shot down, but it's great to see the band back together here. And I know that you thrive off of second chances. So this is
I do. I put in some effort this time, and I appreciate your effort in getting me back here. I appreciate you drafting me for Thanksgiving. That was a wise choice.
we would have had fun, man.
Oh yeah.
Dan, did you have anything to say? I know you were instrumental in the other direction of making sure AJ didn't come on last week. So.
I mean, if there's one thing we like on the show, it's balance. And I felt like, we had to have an even argument, the pros and cons of having AJ on, but ultimately the pros won out, as they always do. And yeah, we got you here, so I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. And what a great idea you've brought with you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, a fantastic idea. By the way, I just want to make a disclaimer. Not only is my virtual background in a lightning storm, but I am here as well. So you might hear loud noises, and my internet might just cut out. So you guys carry on the show without me if that happens. But AJ, why don't you?
Not a virtual background. That looks.
No, I openly admitted this was a virtual background. But in real life as well, I'm dealing with the same issues. But AJ, what is our draft today? You came up with it. You're excited about it. What are we going to be drafting?
We're taking a mission to Mars, folks. Oh. We're going to Mars, baby. This is the future, and it's important. It's important to think about, and it's important to draft about. And so my idea here is to do a draft of our 7-man or woman team to set up the first successful colony on Mars. We got 3 scientists, 2 athletes, an engineer, and a wild card to draft from. And each one is going to have a very specific role. The athletes are for like moving shit around, picking up heavy stuff, doing performance testing on another planet. We got a horticulturalist to grow the food. We got a physicist to study physics. We got a chemist to study chemistry. Oh. Yeah. And the engineer is an engineer. The wild card is any kind of person that you think would go well being thrown into the mix. Could be a musician, an artist, something like that. But yeah, let's see what kind of squads we can come up with here.
Yeah, I'm excited to jump into this. And AJ, you're a viewer of the show, and you told us beforehand you thought it was a bit that Joe always had the first pick, and then you watched us randomize the draft, and Joe still ended up with the first pick. So it is going to go.
You say I watched you look down into your lap and say, "Oh, it's the same order as every time." Well, what do you know?
True. Good point. But it is going to be Joe, Dan, AJ, and then me. I was hoping I would not end up with a third pick. I think the third pick is the worst pick of the draft. So AJ got stuck with that third pick. But as always, let's throw our own lists out there. We'll go in reverse order. So I'll start with mine, then AJ, Dan, and Joe. We'll throw them out. We'll get them into the draft pool.
Just quick question for posterity here. Is this going to be like basketball where we can go positionless with our?
Yeah, I think you should be able to draft anyone. You know, if someone says something. My example to AJ last week was, let's say I brought Tiny Tim aboard to play music for us, and then AJ wanted him as a horticulturalist,
Right.
because he knows the flowers.
Because
you know,
I wanted to fail miserably. And,
Yes, that is totally fine. So go positionless, draft whomever you want, wherever you want.
There was also one other qualifying addendum where these players, because we're going to be mixing male and female on a one-way trip to another planet, you know, their future is to die there. They are not procreating. We're not trying to mix genes here. So, you know, despite who your team is, that will not be a factor. All of our players will be getting vasectomies and tied to before we leave Earth.
Okay, perfect. So they are allowed to have sex. They're just not allowed to procreate.
That is correct.
Okay, deal. I'll keep that in mind. All right, my list starts off with my horticulturalist was going to be Ryan Gainey, just because he's the only horticulturalist I know. Great book about him. I forget what it was called, but I did read it. I had to read it in college. But a lot of interesting designs, a lot of beautiful flowers that he put together. My physicist is going to be Rick from Rick and Morty. Greatest scientist in the world. So how could you not want Rick on there? I went
choice.
For chemist. I went with Will Smith from the movie I Am Legend. He is by himself and single-handedly saves the zombie apocalypse. So I feel like that's a no-brainer. Then I have athlete for labor. It's been a while since we had him available, so I'm going with The Rock. You know, who's better at laborious tasks than The Rock? For performance, AJ, who did I pick for my performance athlete?
Oh, Lesky Petrov.
Of course. There was no other choice to be made. So Petch will be out there on the board. For my engineer, I went maybe a cheating pick. You get a lot of people here, but I went with ancient Egyptians. Been looking a lot at the things that they've created, and they created some pretty crazy stuff, especially for living in the time period that they did. And then finally, my wild card. This was a no-brainer. The ultimate wild card, the greatest man on earth, Nick Cage, had to be on there. So he's my wild card. AJ, what does your list consist of?
All right. My horticulturalist is Greta Thunberg.
Okay, nice.
She's not a horticulturalist. I don't think she's even a scientist, but she thinks she is, and that's half the battle right there. So, you know, she's young, she's spry, she's got some years ahead of her.
And I know this is tough for you as someone, you don't believe in climate change or global warming or anything. So I know that's tough for you to put her on the list.
Yeah, I'm trying to be, you know, well-rounded over here.
She's going to be looking down on that flat Earth from Mars.
My physicist is actually a team. Larry Silverberg and Jeffrey Eischen.
Okay.
I was thinking about maybe Phil Varengia, but no.
Oh, you should have. That would have been great.
Go serious on that one. These guys are developing a theory for how energy spans across the universe, and I think it's pretty far out. So I like.
Do you mind if I just say Larry Silverberg and Jeff?
Sure.
Okay. Thanks.
My chemist. I didn't know you were going to be picking ancient Egyptians. I was trying to keep everyone alive on my team, but for the chemist, I'm actually going with Alexander Shulgin, who died in 2014. But this is the godfather of psychedelics.
Okay.
Man, graduated.
What's his name?
Alexander Shulgin.
Okay, we're just gonna guess
He's-
on that spelling.
He was credited for inventing ecstasy and for psychopharmaceutical use in the late 70s, and known for his discovery, synthesis, and bioassay of over 230 psychoactive compounds on himself studying it. So
Okay.
this is actually the spirit of Alexander Shulgin. He's done so many drugs that he's left his body, but we can harness his spirit to be our chemist.
Okay.
My athletes are Gina Carano from American Gladiators and now Hollywood,
Okay.
and Logan Paul.
Nice. Great pick.
My engineer is Elon Musk. He's resourceful, he's rich, and he should stop making babies because one of them is bound to become the Antichrist. So let's get him off of Earth and on to the next project.
Does he get to
my-
bring rhymes for inspiration?
No.
Can he
No,
tunnel from Mars to Earth to see her? No?
A tunnel?
Oh, I don't
A
know. He
tunnel
did it in
through the
LA.
vastness of space?
Did it from LA to San Francisco or whatever.
Yeah, that guy knows how to dig. All right, my wild card is gonna be Paris Hilton. And
Okay.
that rounds out my team.
Nice. Love it. Love it. Dan, what direction did you go this week?
I don't know. We're about to find out. So, horticulturalist, I've got Dan Bilzerian.
Nice.
Obviously famous for the Ignite Empire. Physicist, I've gone with someone that kind of really knows how the universe works and all the powers that be. So I've gone for Alex Jones as the physicist. Chemist, we got the one and only Heisenberg, because
Yep.
who else would you have as a chemist?
Nice.
Physical labor.
Will Smith.
Physical labor. You've gone for The Rock. I've gone for Kurt Angle. I think, he was obviously trained by John DuPont, the famous fox catcher. So I think, there'll be some good discipline in there that you can keep everyone kind of in line. Performance testing, I've gone for someone, Neil Armstrong was the first man on the moon. So let's go with his namesake, Lance Armstrong, who will be in charge of performance testing. I needed an engineer that had experience of building things in an arid, unlivable wasteland. So I've gone for Joe Exotic, who obviously built the zoo in whatever that place is in Oklahoma. And then the wildcard slot, I thought it was important to have someone that could at least, let this project live on for a long time. So I had to pick someone young, someone that had potential to be one of the greatest superstars the world has ever seen, or Mars definitely has ever seen. So we
exactly
got
who you picked.
Mason Ramsey.
Yep. That's awesome.
At the wildcard slot.
Is that the little yodeling kid?
It is
Yep.
a little yodeling kid, yeah, Mason Ramsey.
That's awesome. That might make me pick against Nick Cage. That's great. That's a great choice, Dan. Joe, your list.
So starting off with the horticulturalist, once again, I did not know any, so I picked Dr. Harold Bornstein, who is Donald Trump's personal doctor. It's the guy that just gives him a clean bill of health every time that he has the.
Every single one of us is gonna die. We have nobody who knows how to grow food on this list.
Physicist, can't believe he's still on the board, but Neil deGrasse Tyson. Easy pick there. Might be in the first round conversation for sure. Chemist, I picked Dexter from Dexter's Lab. So that's my first cartoon character coming off the board. I think the first, Rick as well.
Yeah.
Then we have for the athletes, I went Olympians. So I'm going Simone Biles and Johnny Weir, figure skater. Engineer, I'm going with Mr. Incredible because I believe that's even though he sells insurance, he's something to do with buildings because he had some blueprints on his desk in the movie. So I think that's also in the first round conversation. And then wild card will be Christy Brown from my left foot.
Nice. Great choice. I wonder who's ending up with Christy Brown again.
Yeah, wasn't Christy Brown in the last draft?
Yeah, and I'm gonna end up with him again. Joe, I almost picked Dexter. I almost put Dexter on my list, so we almost had an overlap there.
And shout out to us, nobody putting Bill Nye on the board. I'm glad to see that.
Yes, yeah, that was easy to leave off.
We're not trying to go for fake scientists here, just real
Right.
ones.
Yes.
Dan
Well,
Bilzerian.
I'm motivated this week to not lose the draft. I don't care if I come in third place. I just don't want to lose the draft. I lost big time last week, lost big time the week before. Just don't want to lose the draft again. So that's my
You
motivation.
did that to yourself.
I know, but now I'm motivated. Now I'm focused. You know, we've been thinking
You're gonna
about this all
overthink
week.
it.
Yeah, I know. I certainly am. Joe, you get the first pick here.
I do want to address need. Let me go with Neil deGrasse Tyson for physicist.
Okay. As your physicist, yeah. All right. Good pick. Good first one off the board. That brings us to Dan, as always.
I think mine's an easy pick. I'm going with Heisenberg as my chemist. Go stick
Okay.
with my guy.
Another guy I almost had on my list, by the way. So I'm glad. We've yet to have an overlap yet on any of these lists, and we almost had two today. AJ, your first pick.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, because I don't actually know who Ryan Gainey is. But if he's an actual horticulturalist, I'm going for him.
I was thinking the same
the
thing,
only
AJ,
choice.
but I just
Yep.
I don't know how good he is.
He makes he's known for his floral designs more than his food creation. So
Damn it.
It's a pretty bad pick. I'll be honest, it's a pretty bad pick. But you're picking the unknown, which I like. I like that you're doing that. I'm going with Rick because you bring up a good point about food, AJ. And I've seen many times on Rick and Morty where they've been in some dire straits and Rick's whipped up some quick food for them out of basically nothing. So as both my physicist and my food creator, I feel like I'm kind of getting a double pick there. All right. Well, I'm going to stick on my own list, I think. I'm going to go with the ancient Egyptians. I want some cool structures.
It's a good pick.
I want them to build me a lot of things. I feel like that one makes sense. Makes sense for colonizing
They're already
Mars.
there on Mars, so.
And they're already there. I
have
mean,
to
they've
pay
been there
to
for years.
ship them,
So
yeah.
they've already
They've been making
colonized
pyramids
it,
over there for a long time.
yeah. All right, AJ, your second round pick.
Second round pick. I'm gonna go with my man, the spirit of Alexander Shulgin.
Okay.
I
And
need-
remind me
I
what
need to
he
be
was?
Guided.
Your chemist?
Yeah, he's a chemist.
Okay. All right. It's a good pick. Really bad first round pick, but you've redeemed yourself a little bit. Dan, your second round. Who's joining Heisenberg on the ship?
I think I've got it. So this you mentioned about crossover. This guy was originally on my list, and then I swapped him out for Joe Exotic. So I'm going to take Elon Musk in as my engineer.
Okay.
Happy
to have him on board.
Yeah, it's a good pick, especially with the other engineers that are left. I think Elon Musk was a good pick. Joe, you get two back to back here.
Yeah, I think at this point you just got to take the smartest person on the board to be your horticulturalist. To just really find a way. So I'm gonna have to go with Dexter. I have to stick with my own list once again. Which could leave a hole at chemist, but we'll work through that. That's more of a teachable position, I think. And then let me go. Wow, there is not a lot of talent on this board.
No, there's not. I was just realizing the same thing.
They're pretty much all gag picks.
Yes.
And who was Larry Silverberg again?
They're actual physicists. They're working on some new version of string theory.
Joe's already got a physicist.
No, but these are teachable positions. I mean, these aren't going to be isolated, right? We're not
Teachable
going to be
positions. Theoretical physics takes years and years of.
Well, we're talking about the fate of humanity. We're talking about living on Mars, and we're talking about people with the intellectual capacity of Neil deGrasse Tyson and Dexter, who have some experience with this to begin with. This isn't totally new to them. There's no other chemist to put there. Yeah, I
Will
gotta go
Smith.
with them.
Okay, so you what? I don't know. I feel like they're not chemists. So is it really that teachable?
Who am I gonna have Gina Carano do the chemistry? Talk about the Entourage movie.
So Joe's throwing a real kind of a curveball to this whole draft because he's now picked
Outside
a
of
few
the
physicists for different positions. So
But I asked before the draft if this was possible.
no, it's great. It's great. You've basically just killed us all. So that's great. Dan, your pick here in the
My
third
pick.
round.
This is a tough one. I'm stuck between like two at this point. I think I'm actually going to go and put Greta Thunberg in as the horticulturalist.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
I'm going to take. Yeah, I think she's young and she can learn.
Mm-hmm. See,
Yeah.
Learning is the key here.
Yeah.
She's also
So should I put Mason Ramsey as my
there.
horticulturalist?
Yeah, here's your team
Yeah,
chemistry.
she is going to clash a little bit with Elon, but
Yes, exactly.
A little bit. Tell him what he can't do. Okay.
AJ, your pick here.
Well, I'm gonna go with Will Smith from I Am Legend.
It's gonna be my next pick.
And I'm gonna, yeah, I knew it was, because what else is there? I'm gonna put him in as my physicist.
Okay.
And we'll see if he can adapt his schooling to now study the reach of modern physics.
This is a problem. this draft is a problem. I don't have anyone to do anything. I have to take Dr. Harold Bornstein because he's a doctor.
Yeah.
So if he's a doctor in one thing, he can at least be my chemist, I guess. He could figure that out by Joe's logic. He could be taught. Oh man. This is definitely the hardest draft we've done, I'd have to say. All right. So for my horticulturalist, who do I trust? Who do I trust on this board? Well, there's no one I trust more than Alex Jones. So I got to take Alex Jones for my horticulturalist.
James, you're bombing it again.
That's all right. I mean, there's no one on this list. Who am I going to take?
Here's the thing, though. Once we're filled up on the top three, the athletes are going to come off the board very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as daunting as it looks. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was stuck. It was Alex Jones or Johnny Weir. I mean, I don't know who I was going to take for my horticulturalist. I trust Alex Jones. He understands the chemistry of water and how it was turning all the frogs gay. So if he can understand that, he can figure out how to make some food on Mars.
You see how unhealthy that man looks? Oh, God. Well, hey, it's gonna be down to a lot of crappy picks. So I got to take Mr. Incredible off the board there as my engineer.
Okay.
Dude is super stretchy. He could be flexing all over the place,
I'm
writing in a
sorry.
notebook over there, opening a cabinet over here.
He's not though, is he? Isn't that his wife is super stretchy? Mr. Incredible is just a big fat man that's strong.
Oh, I'm thinking about Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four. Oh shit.
I need to have you on the draft every week. You make me look great.
Man. So God, just a fucking oaf. Wow.
All right, Dan. Well, AJ
So-
just gifted you a pick, basically.
Who is Johnny Weir?
He's a figure skater.
And he was put in as someone's athlete.
Yes.
Yes.
And then, are there any physicists left on this board?
Well, there's Christy Brown.
Was he your physicist?
He's actually very intelligent.
Nick Cage does play a physicist in The Rock.
He does.
That is a great shout. You may have convinced me there. Not that I took a lot of convincing, but yeah, I'm going to take Nick Cage as my physicist.
I mean, yeah, that's the right pick. You made the right pick.
Yeah.
Joe, where does that leave you now?
So engineer, I'm gonna go Lance Armstrong. Could
Okay.
have been chemist as well, because he does have some understanding about motion and
Mm-hmm.
aerodynamics, and I do think he is competitive enough to become very good at this. I do believe engineering is probably the most teachable position on the board, and he can also help out in chemistry if Larry and Jeff do struggle. Maybe they could switch places there. And then athlete 1, I really don't want him on my team, just chemistry-wise, but I think that this is a good group, so I don't think The Rock will have too big of an impact on the chemistry, so I'll put him as athlete 1.
Okay. It's a good pick. Dan, are you going to
Right.
start with the athletes? Are you going to take a wild card?
I think I'm going to take Mason Ramsey as my wild card
Nice.
at this point.
The entertainment.
I gotta protect my my high picks. And
You've essentially just ruined all team chemistry though with Greta and Mason, just annoying the
Nah,
crap
I
out
got
of everyone
youth.
else on board.
I got youth on board.
Yeah, maybe it'll energize and
Mhm.
excite everyone else. I have people on my team that are 3,500 years old, so if not older. So
3,500 years old.
guess I could have used some youth. AJ, what are you going with here?
I think this is a huge value pick. I think you guys didn't really understand the potential when I put it on the board, but I'm going with Paris Hilton.
Okay.
No,
You could build
no
some
better
hotels.
way to keep the team, clear-headed and focused than to have a little loose legs Lenore on the team for general
Nice.
pounding.
Nice, real nice. All right, I'm going here. I'm gonna go with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle was a good pick, good suggestion. I'm gonna put him as my athlete 1. And Joe brings up a good point about Christy Brown. He's a really smart guy.
Yeah.
He learned how to paint with his feet.
He's totally
so-
adaptable.
Yeah, he's completely adaptable. He'll be able to deal with basically anything. So yeah, I'm going to take Christy Brown before I get stuck with him anyway. I'm going to willingly take him on my list this week. So that's 2 straight weeks with Mr. My Left Foot. AJ, you've got your 2 athletes to pick. Are you going with athlete 1 or athlete 2 first?
I will draft directly into my athlete 2 slot.
Okay.
And gosh, Dan Bilzerian's in great shape. Great shape. I just don't think the chemistry is there for the
Yeah.
dynamic of my team. He's
Yeah.
gonna, he's got too high of a sex drive. It wouldn't work. Kind of a god complex there too.
Yeah.
Don't want that. So I'm gonna go Johnny Weir.
Okay.
Johnny
It's a great
Weir. Yeah, I think he's got some leadership potential. Olympic athlete.
Yeah, he's an amazing athlete, one of the greatest of all time.
I wouldn't say he has any leadership potential at all.
He has no leadership potential at all. But if you find a patch of frozen Mars, he can.
Yeah, I mean, he could
get
be
you across it.
tearing up them ice caps.
You know who Johnny Weir is, AJ?
No, I don't.
You should Google
I should
Johnny
start
Weir.
looking some of these people up before I
I did Google him during
stellar
this
team.
as well.
Oh god.
Dan, so I'll ask you the same question. Are you going athlete 1 or athlete 2 here?
Wait, does AJ have another pick, or is it?
No, he doesn't. It's
That
up
was
to you.
okay.
now.
Okay, yeah, no brainer. Simone Biles. In at I think athlete 2, because she's not gonna. She's a gymnast, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think athlete 2 for Simone Biles. But yeah, I'm glad to have got that. I was glad when AJ didn't pick Simone Biles.
Gives you officially the most diverse team as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. That's what I'm all about.
So congratulations for that. Joe, how are you rounding out your draft here? As you always do. I don't understand how you get the first pick every time. And with 7 picks, the first pick is always the best in the snake draft because you don't end up with the last pick somehow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this is nice. I don't want to consider him an athlete, so just for the verbiage, I'm gonna have Petch as my wild card. It's a wild card in general.
That's a smart move.
And we're also a short team, so we do need his height.
Yeah.
And then athlete 2, I will go with Gina Carano.
Okay.
I didn't really want, but
Who is she?
she is a what is she? UFC, AJ?
Oh, really? Okay.
I know her from
Yeah,
the Entourage.
she's pretty
movie.
strong.
Yeah.
She's pretty strong.
So the 3 of us are left here with 3 very undesirable picks. Dan, I think you have maybe at least one semi-desirable left on the board, but
Yeah,
up to
I
you to get
mean,
for athlete
so
1.
yeah, to break this down, so athlete 1 as a position is physical labor, isn't it?
Mhm.
And as I think AJ already mentioned, Bilzerian is in good shape,
Yes.
and would kind of be suited to that role, but he also brings with him just a terrible energy. Kind of the same goes for Logan Paul.
Mhm.
He's not the sort of guy that I really want to have on my team. I think he's going to be kind of overpowering in those moments. So I do think I may be forced here into taking Joe Exotic just for morale, to be honest. And
You guys are gonna die in 10 days.
and we kind of have to just like it's going to be an everyone in on the physical labor side of things. We can't be relying on one guy. I just don't want damn Bilzerian or Logan Paul around for eternity. So
I'm not sure you have anyone strong on your team though. This is the problem is your
but
physical labor
we've
department.
got collective strength and intelligence, so we can and we got the greatest engineer.
Yeah, you got some weak wrist action on your team.
AJ,
yeah.
oh sorry, go Dan.
No, I'm done.
AJ, who are you
Wow.
leaving me with?
I mean, I feel like these are kind of equal picks because they're just musclehead, dildos. But I hate to say it, I think I'm gonna take Logan Paul, just for the fact that I want him to be the person who has to get everything. Go pick this up. Go move this here. Like, don't let him have any say. Don't let him, really be a part of the team. He's just the gopher. And I think, with the spirit of Alexander Shulgin and Will Smith, I think we have enough leadership to keep him in check. So.
Well, people always said Ryan Gainey was a great leader as well. So it's the one thing.
I gotta look him up too.
that everyone knows about him. All right, so I had a feeling that I was going to be stuck with Dan Bilzerian, and that's why I left my athlete 2 spot open. because either Logan Paul or Dan Bilzerian. I feel like if we're using him just for testing, I can have the ancient Egyptians create a little room for him where he can just go stand on a treadmill or whatever it is that they need to test, and no one ever has to see him. So you have to suffer with him on the flight from Earth to Mars, but beyond that, you never have to see him again. So I'm okay with Dan Bilzerian being there. I don't even want him out moving stuff. Like Logan Paul now is stuck. You're seeing him basically every day. So I'm quite happy with this. Quite happy with how this ended up here. So let's take a look at these teams. Can we, off the bat, agree that AJ is going to probably die first?
Yeah, the only one who knows how to grow shit. Maybe flowers, but we're eating, baby. We're eating.
I don't know,
man. I James, your team is really bad, dude.
You got Alex Jones at the helm.
You got three absolute meatheads on that team in Bilzerian, Angle, and Jones.
You have no female presence.
Yeah.
I do have Rick, the smartest scientist in the universe.
Yeah, I guess he can go to Gazorpazorp to get you some sex robots for Dan Bilzerian.
I have, I told you, Dan Bilzerian's sitting in a room away. Nobody cares about Dan Bilzerian.
Remember, Dan Bilzerian was originally on here as a horticulturalist as well, so he might be able to...
really branching out.
help Alex Jones maybe in some of that.
It's true. I have the most adaptable person on any of these lists, as Joe pointed out, in Christy Brown. So, I don't know. I think we're living at least a day longer than AJ. And maybe Dan.
I don't think so.
Dan has no strength at all. That is totally his problem here. I do think he's gritty enough to get it done, but that's going to be a problem kind of the first couple weeks, and then I think Elon probably whips something up to kind of not make that an issue anymore.
I think Heisenberg and Musk are make my team strong, not physically strong, team. But strong as in you were a good team.
You might have the best team.
And if we're discovering things in small spaces, we got Simone Biles, who's 4'11", Mason Ramsey, and Greta Thunberg, who can get into those small spaces. I'm looking at. I mean, isn't Paris Hilton 6'2" or something like that? And she's probably the smallest person on AJ's team. So, I don't know. And also, obviously,
but
Musk is going to be boring everywhere in his little tunneling machine as well. So
yeah.
And we're pretty safe.
I mean, these people have roles for you, though. You can't take Nick Cage away from his physics studies to go, open this jar of pickles over there because nobody else can unscrew the cap. So there's going to be a lot of tension. Joe Exotic is not going to want to do manual labor.
I admit that's my weakest position.
It's be a problem.
It's almost as bad as Alex Jones as a horticulturalist. Joe Exotic as the main guy on physical labor with his leg brace. But no, I'm confident. Joe's got what it takes.
Despite the fact that Joe picked 4 athletes somehow, I mean, when you go horticulturalist, physicist, chemist, I think his is the best of any of our top 3 picks there.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, Joe's got a strong team. Look at that.
This is just another example of having the first pick always gives you the strongest team. So, I think the randomizer is kind of screwing us here. AJ, what do you have to say about your team?
It's the randomizer's fault. You took ancient Egyptians in the first round.
Yeah, I think that was a great pick.
Brutal pick.
I think that was a great pick.
They couldn't even survive. They didn't survive their own.
Well, think about what they could do with technology. They have technology now.
That's a big assumption.
Think about what they did back then. I think that was a great pick for the second round. AJ, what's your how do you think you're going to survive longer than me based on your list?
Listen, I got a well-rounded team. I have a lot of different personalities. I don't have any people that are or I don't have too many type A personalities, I'm looking at there's a long-term aspect to this. These people are going to be isolated with each other for years and years. and they have to be a team. They have to work cohesively. You know, I think Johnny Weir brings some flair definitely to the team, and you know, Mr. Incredible with his graphs and his strength, he can definitely be helping out with some shit. But I like that I have the only actual person that grows things.
Yeah.
Even though he's like 90 years old, he can at least train everyone else in how to grow stuff before he croaks. And
I don't think age doesn't matter. Age shouldn't matter. We're taking these people in their prime. I mean, you know, we all have. I think. Am I the only one that has dead people on my list? I thought someone else did.
I have the
That might
spirit
just
of
be me.
Alexander Shulgin.
You have a yeah, that's true.
Who I think is a huge strong pick. You know, in what we're doing here, it's not just a study of, you know, the outward realm, you know, and of this new planet, but it's also a study of the inward realm. And I think Alexander is going to keep everyone centered and grounded amidst this very tumultuous time. I think he's going to be whipping out the ecstasy to keep everyone in really good spirits.
Okay.
So I'm really happy with my team.
All
I think
right.
I got the second best team after Joe.
For me, it's. I think you have. I think to me, you have the worst team. I think you know, I might be giving my own team a little bias. I told you I was shooting for third place this week. I would give myself third place, give you last, Dan second, Joe first. Dan, how would
Okay.
you rank them?
I don't know. I like my team. I think you've made some good points against my team. I'd probably go pretty much as it goes from left to right on the spreadsheet. So Joe first, me second, AJ third, and then I think you're in last.
All right, fair enough.
So if we all think you're last, are you last?
Well, let's hear from Joe. Let's hear from Joe.
Yeah, I do think you don't have a single guy that actually is at a position that's like beneficial to them. Yeah, it's you're definitely last, dude. I mean, I would say probably AJ second. I think I do have the best team, and then Dan just the lack of strength. But I think once you could atone for that, you will be in second.
All right. Well, another week, another last place. Hopefully, I get the first pick next week, and we can see if I can shine with the first pick. I don't know. I don't think so. I think my logic might just be skewed on all these drafts, so it might not matter.
And that randomizer.
As soon as you
So
took
random.
ancient Egyptians and AJ said, "James, you're fucking up," like that was a terrible thing.
I have a question. How does gravity affect the need for strength in this situation?
Oh, that's a great question.
Didn't talk about it.
That's a great question.
I think there's always use for strength, gravity or not.
Well, AJ brought up a good point
it's not
about
like
the
they're on
pickle
the moon.
jars.
You know, the moon is like a fraction of the gravity of Earth. But let's see.
I would think you'd still want some kind of strength. By the way, last week I put out the vote because we'll put this out to a vote again this week. On Twitter, Dan won 43% of the vote. Joe won 43% of the vote. I won 14% of the vote.
Nice.
On Instagram, Joe won 65% of the vote. Dan won 30% of the vote. I won 5% of the vote.
Nice.
So I for sure lost last week. Joe won just based on the Instagram poll. And this was all, I mean, it was my own Instagram, you know, at least on Twitter is the SNG Twitter. It was my own Instagram, all the people that follow me. And I won 5% of that vote. So not great. But that's where we're at. AJ, what was the gravity on Mars? We gonna be okay with no strength?
It's 62% lower, and that's significant. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so maybe Dan jumps to second place. We'll see. We'll put this out to a vote. We'll see what you guys think. But let's wrap it there. AJ, thank you for this excellent idea. For the Mission to Mars draft. It was a wonderful.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, let's all go around and end
Right.
this by just saying how we thought AJ did. AJ, way better than last time. You were excellent. You were an
100%.
excellent guest. Yeah, Dan, would you be willing to have AJ back?
100%. Every
Yeah.
week if he wants. He's got a free
Joe?
ticket. You got like a golden
Dan-
ticket, like a Willy Wonka
Dan,
style golden ticket.
Nice. I thought you were gonna hate me forever. The first time we actually met in person, James drove me up to the airport, and I'm hanging out the window, exposing my nipples, so that it would be the first thing he saw of me.
I'm like tired as hell coming off a flight. No.
Jet lag. You just crossed an ocean, and
Yeah.
there's AJ's hairy nipples to greet you.
And then the first thing you guys do is like basically take me to a crime scene where you're trying to unscrew a street sign on a New York street.
Well, in our defense, it was 69th Street.
It was.
and,
It
Yeah,
was.
I mean-
It deserves to be stolen.
But yeah.
It was begging to be removed.
Joe, your thoughts?
I never wanted AJ to go. I wish he was part of the show. Any show, anytime. That's been my policy with AJ.
Yeah, it's true. Well, maybe I think we've got a guest potentially lined up for next week, but maybe this was an audition tape. Maybe if the people like it, maybe we add a fourth to the show. We'll see. I would love
you really
that.
need to round out your opinions by having somebody who doesn't know jack fuck about sports on the show. So
Well, we don't talk. It's not a sports show, so you're
it's
fine.
not a sports show.
Nah, not really.
Oh,
It's
okay,
a draft
good.
show. It's a draft show. But let's wrap it. AJ, I'll give you the final word. Send the people out, and Dan will end the stream.
Okay, the final word is schmutz. That's all.
Perfect.